Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. Today, I want to go through and give you guys some analysis with the total market cap of the altcoins, as well as the total market cap in general. We're also going to be diving into some long-term Bitcoin analysis, so I can share with you guys my updated perspective on why I think that where we're at right now in the cycle is nearly identical to the last cycle, and why this means that we are going to be heading to the all-time highs of Bitcoin at 20,000 very, very soon. So if you haven't been prepared beforehand, you haven't been buying your crypto, now is the time to do so, or you're going to get left behind before this new bull run. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Make sure that you guys click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos like the one provided for you here. And always remember, guys, to join my free Discord server, over 17,000 members and growing so fast. If you want to engage with the rest of my community, share your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives with the market, make sure you guys check out the Discord by clicking inside the description of this video, and there you're going to find the invitation link to my Discord. Now, once you guys have access, I also offer my exclusive content like the video course and signals, where you guys can follow and copy along with every trade that I take, follow my long-term portfolio, as well as get private VIP videos all in one. So if you guys want to sign up for either my VIP course or my VIP signals, make sure you stay all the way to the end of this video, because then I'm going to be taking a couple minutes to explain how you guys can get signed up, the pros of doing so, and what it's going to take to get you guys going today. One final thing, guys, is to make sure you download my free ebook. At the very least, check that out. 38 pages long, full of exciting information. It's going to teach you guys the ins and outs to trading and investing. There's a ton of terminology in there to help give you guys an all-around perspective on what the markets are, how to go about trading and profiting inside of them. And then I've also got a 10-part quiz incorporated inside of that, so you guys can go through, read all the contents, and then quiz yourself so you retain all of the knowledge learned. So make sure you guys download that. Links are provided for you in the description. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing video today. So I really wanted to go through and share with you guys some long-term Bitcoin analysis with the overall trend. And the reason for this is because I think that we are venturing towards that all-time high mark, and we're going to hit the all-time highs of Bitcoin very soon. When this happens, there's going to be a ton of value that is going to be waiting to explode inside of the altcoins. And this is really the most exciting part of the cycle, because up to this point, we've just been accumulating. We've been building a solid foundation before ultimately we can break out of all-time highs. And what's really important to understand is altcoins themselves are basically like a stick of dynamite. You know, it takes a while for them to get going, but once finally that they're going, when they're ready to go, they just explode. And that's kind of the way that this works inside of the Bitcoin cycles. You know, Bitcoin will make its higher highs, it'll start impulsing, Bitcoin starts hitting close to that all-time high mark, and then when Bitcoin starts hitting the all-time highs, altcoins go crazy, because that's when all of the retail FOMO drives all the values of cryptos well above and beyond their all-time highs. It's always retail FOMO, because up to this point, it's been institutionals that have been investing inside of this market, predominantly institutions, and now we're going to start to see the real part of the cycle where retail starts to FOMO buy, and they really start to rally up these prices. And so what I wanted to go through today was just to map out the two cycles. We're going to go look at the last cycle, and we're going to compare it to this cycle, because I honestly think that there's a lot of big, important updates to cover for you guys that I haven't talked about in a little while. So let's go through here. Now, really what I've gone through and done was analyze this time frame takes us from the cycle high of the last one, and then it goes all the way over and ends right when we started hitting the all-time highs again. And so this was about 3 years, or 1,134 days from the cycle high to the point where we finally retested and made a new all-time high. And so this is really the way I wanted to break down this cycle, was first by taking a look at the time frame so that we could see how long the last cycle took from the point that we topped out and made an all-time high to the point where we started to hit all-time highs again and break out of those. And that was about 1,134 days. Now, in this current cycle, we're sitting at about 1,043 days. And so we're about 100 days shy before we hit this point, but we're pretty much on track to be hitting that same exact level. And really what else I wanted to go through here real quickly was I wanted to analyze the 4-year cycles. And this is really the way that I wanted to analyze this, because 4 years is pretty much the length of time in which a whole cycle takes to accumulate for these cryptocurrencies. And I've gone through and labeled every single first of the January. Each one of these isn't technically the first, but it's the only one that I could get with a weekly time frame. And so basically I've gone through and labeled the new year of every single point here on the chart. And this is a 4-year accumulation trend. And we break it down by 4-year increments that are placed every single new year. So this was 2014 is when we got the cycle high. Technically with Bitcoin, the way that Bitcoin tops out is it doesn't top directly at the new year, but it'll top out in about November, early December, and then it'll make its first lower high, and at the top of that lower high is where we get the new year. And so it's pretty much the same as saying the cycle high is at the new year, which is why I've gone through and labeled it that way. And so here we have our first cycle high, which comes at January 1st of 2014. And then Bitcoin starts a year bear market. And this is the way every cycle works, guys. Every single time Bitcoin tops out, it goes through a 1-year bear market decline. And then we go a year from advance, takes us to the cycle low. That happens in 2015. And then we can see that we have this descending resistance. And this descending resistance happens every cycle. And this is the way that you label a downtrend. Whenever Bitcoin tops out, it makes this downtrending resistance, and it makes lower lows and lower highs all the way through. Until finally, we end up breaking out from that downtrend, and that actually comes, pretty much at the end of this correction, which is about a year from the topping point. And so then from this point, we get a year in advance, which takes us to 2016, or year 3. This is where Bitcoin cycles show our first higher high on this new bull trend, and this is what happened shortly after we start hitting that point. So we hit the bottoming point here at about 2015. We go through about a year of accumulation, followed by a one impulse that takes us upwards of the new bull trend, right? This is where we start the new bull trend. And then a year from that point takes us to year 4, which year 4 is where we start breaking out and hitting this all-time high mark, which happens 1,134 days from the cycle high. Now, if we take this same principle and we compare it to what we're seeing today, it's pretty much the same thing. We get the cycle high here at the 1st of 2018. Technically, we topped out about the 1st of December, which is pretty much the same as what happened over here. But we don't get the new year until about here. And so we pretty much top out in the winter of 2018. And then this starts our year-long bear market decline. Same thing happens here. We get this descending resistance. We go through about a year exactly of a downtrend. And then after that, we start year 3 to year 4, which is this move here, where we accumulate and we make our first higher high on the trend. This one's a little bit different here. We didn't really take so much time to accumulate sideways. We really just marked up, had a really strong impulse, and that really took us into that year 3. Same type of market structure where we accumulate, make our first higher high. The only difference is this one just really started marking up really quickly. But nonetheless, it's still the same. Year 2 to year 3 takes us to our first higher high on that new bull trend. And now year 3 to year 4 is what takes us to the all-time high. And this is pretty much following the same structure. And in fact, if we were to take this time frame, draw it from the cycle high all the way over to year 4, we're about pretty much at the same exact time frame. We're about 14 days less, so about 2 weeks. But guys, when you can break down this cycle, this correlated between the two, it's very obvious to tell that, in my opinion, the cycles aren't really lengthening, and there isn't that much evidence supporting that claim. The only real evidence that you have supporting that claim is the fact that this cycle was really short, right? And this cycle lengthened in time compared to that one. So there is some data to go basing your strategy upon lengthening cycle theory. But the way it looks to me is there's really not so much trusting that, because there's in fact more value actually trusting this theory, which is just that the cycles are 4 years. And this is really the way it goes. Anytime you can break down the cycles this correlated, I mean, from the cycle high, we top out at the new year, to the cycle low is almost exactly 1 year in time. Pretty much exactly 1 year in duration that we get inside of that time frame. And the same thing happened here again. If you have 2 cycles that are repeating the same pattern over and over, why would you assume that all of a sudden the cycles are just going to magically expand in size when there really isn't a whole lot of substance backing that? In my opinion, there's way more substance backing the fact that we go through these 4-year accumulation cycles followed by 1 year of intense bull markets. And this is really where I think that we're at today. About where we're at today, if we go through these time frames, we're sitting at about 1,043 days. And so if we take 1,043 days here, that's going to take us to about right here. And so we're about at this very end point before we ultimately start hitting all-time highs. I think that we're about right here in the cycle. where, you know, Bitcoin has just retested some of the prior support levels. Bitcoin has retested some of the prior resistance levels as support. We get a retest, and now this is where we mark up to that all-time high. And I really think that we're at the same point today, where, I mean, nonetheless, we've pretty much had the same point, where we've had this major resistance level for quite some time. This was a major resistance. We couldn't break above this level for a few months until finally we retested this, and now this is where we get the markup to the all-time high. This is pretty much the same type of stuff that we saw here in the last cycle, you know, where Bitcoin had this major resistance level here. You know, it was support here for a little while. We sold through it, became resistance here. It was resistance when we first made our higher high on that new bull trend, but then this was us flipping that level. And this is right before we got that run up to the all-time high, and I really expect that this cycle is going to behave pretty much the same here. This is just a major support and resistance flip that's coming right before we start rallying up to all-time highs. Pretty much the same thing happens right here, and that's why I think that we're pretty much following that same type of correlation, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. I think that this is still very much in the play, and this is really what we should be counting on to have happen from here on out. I think that really what we're waiting for from this point on is just going to be the bulk of our impulsing markets, our big parabolic impulses that we are going to be expecting to find and play out until about, you know, the end of the year. So something along the lines of this. This is really what I'm going to be watching out for with Bitcoin. I think that we have started our new cycle. I've already said that since back down here in 2019 when I first made my videos titled The Bitcoin Bottom is In. And so I've personally been a long-term bull ever since that point. I've been very much bullish and waiting for this long-term trend to develop. And now I think that we finally hit our basing. And with this support and resistance flip of 10.5K, this is really where we're going to start that parabolic move. And so this is what I'm going to be watching out for, guys. I think very much the way that this cycle is going to play out is pretty much the same as the last one. I think that we've just started our parabolic move, which in my opinion is going to take us upwards of about 250K by the end of 2021. And so we've got a lot of bullish action to be looking forward to. And so I wanted to give you guys this long-term outlook of the market just so that you guys could be aware about what I'm expecting, because nonetheless, it's still following pretty much identically to plan. You know, we'll top out here at about 21st, here about the 1st of 2021, and then we'll start a brand new cycle in its place. And so I'll label this one black. So we go through the 4-year cycles, right? Year 1 is the top, year 2 is the bottom, year 3 is the first higher high, and year 4 is the breakout of the new trend. Same thing happens here. Year 1's the top, year 2's the bottom, year 3 is the first higher high, and year 4 is where we go parabolic and start breaking out of all-time highs. Literally, it's the same chart all the way through. The only difference here is we don't have the year-long bull run, and this is what we're going to be starting in 2021, is that big parabolic rise before ultimately we start this pattern over once again, and it'll look something like this, guys. It'll look pretty much identical to this. You know, we could draw it all the way back up here again, and we'll basically just keep repeating this pattern as we keep going up. As long as Bitcoin's bullish, it's going to repeat these patterns because it's not so much of a market cycle, but it's also the halvenings are all correlated inside of this as well. And so basically the way Bitcoin is built, it's built to have these big parabolic cycles because this is a deflationary asset inside of an inflationary economy. You do the math. It doesn't need to be any more explained besides that. You know, it's very simple understanding of the way that these markets work. Anytime you have a supply happening that gets cut in half every 4 years, which is perfectly correlated to these 4-year cycles, guys, it's not rocket science. It's just very much in the programming of what makes Bitcoin Bitcoin. And this is really what we're going to be expecting to see. Obviously, the bear market can look different. Obviously, the bull market can look different. But the way that the cycle timeframes are lining up, this will not be different, and we will top out at the end of 2021. So now let's actually dive into some more analysis with the total market cap here, because we're about to break out of pretty much all resistance from this point. You know, we've had this supply zone here drawn for a little while, and we're just now about to be leaving that supply zone for the first time. You know, this has been the resistance that's held us for a while. We got our dead cat bounce upwards of here. We corrected back down, and then after COVID, we actually got a retest of that. And we're about to be breaking out of this level once again. And now this level coexists at about 390 billion, just under 400 billion. And I do strongly believe that this is going to be breaking out of it very soon. What I would expect to find happening right now would be something like this. I think that we're going to get a quick impulse that's going to take us upwards of about 430 billion to even upwards of 475 billion. You know, from here, we'd correct back down, retest this high, and then I think that that's ultimately going to take us in for one more big expansive move, upwards of about $620 billion. I don't think that these all-time highs are going to be much resistance. And I think that now that we've actually flipped this level here and made a higher high, we're going to see a strong buyback ensue that's really not going to see much room for error. If you're waiting on the sidelines, waiting to buy in, you're not going to have much time to do so before this stuff really starts going parabolic. This was the accumulation. We're now leaving the accumulation range, and this is where we start to go parabolic. And we can actually see, oh, wow. This updated since I was just barely looking at the chart, but we got this nice wick in here, and this is just showing exactly the same type of analysis as the last chart. Really, all we're doing right here is breaking out of some of the prior resistance levels, retesting resistance levels, now acting as support, and this is really where we're going to start to get that markup in price that's going to take us upwards of about 265 billion here in the altcoins. And so I think that these altcoins are going to see a pretty explosive rise coming very soon. I don't really see any resistance from here to that point. And so, guys, now's the time to be preparing if you haven't already, because this is where the fun starts inside of the cycle, where altcoins are going to go crazy, Bitcoin's going to go crazy, everything's going to go crazy. It's going to be easy, easy, easy buying coins, making profit off these coins, because virtually everything's just going to be going up and doing nothing but going up, which is why the best thing that you can do for yourself is to follow somebody that you can trust inside of these markets so that you know how to structure a trading plan. Because at the end of the day, guys, you can watch what I'm doing here. You can try and follow my trades based off of what I'm doing on my YouTube channel, but ultimately this is just technical analysis. You have no idea when I'm entering the price, when I'm going to be taking profits, how much of a position I'm taking, if I'm holding long-term, short-term, mid-term. All of these things have to be factored in when it comes to you guys actually making a trading plan, which is why you guys should definitely sign up for the signals. Obviously speaking, guys, when it comes to entering this market, the best thing that you're going to be able to do for yourself is following somebody that knows what they're doing. And I've been here since 2016. I've been building a long-term portfolio since mid-2018, dollar cost averaging, and I've been in nothing but profit in the time being. And so this is really what you guys are going to get access to. You're going to get access to my long-term portfolio with every single trade that I take. You're going to know exactly what I've allocated to each investment, how much percentage of my portfolio is invested into each coin, and then I'm also going to be posting all of my new trades that I take as well. And so you guys are getting access to my long-term portfolio. You're also getting access to all the private trades. And I've just recently added a new section where I've actually started doing private VIP videos inside of the Discord. And so this is only for the people with the signals. So if you guys want to get access to all of my all of those private trades, all of my long-term portfolio, as well as private VIP videos that are going to help teach you guys a lot of my strategies, teach you guys a lot of the stuff that I'm doing here with how to follow my trades, then make sure you guys sign up for the signals. Now, I also offer my video course, which is 20 educational videos that's going to teach you guys all of my strategies for profiting. So if you guys want to get access to an amazing community where you guys can get some educational content, or you guys can just follow along with all the signals and trades that I take, I always recommend that you guys check that out, because ultimately this is how you're going to be profitable. It's easy to make profit inside of this market by just buying and holding, but it takes a special kind of person to know when to take profits, how to manage that trade, how to diversify profits, and all of those things. And so if you guys want to make profit over this next cycle, sign up for the signals. We're making profit in there each and every day, building a long-term portfolio that's done nothing but profiting since I've been posting those signals, and it's only going to continue to benefit you guys that sign up for it. So make sure you guys sign up, download, links are provided for you in the description to sign up for either my course or signals. You guys can purchase them together or separate. If you guys can only pick one, I always recommend going with the signals first, because then you guys can at least make profit following all the trades that I take. Now, one final thing, guys, is at least if you don't sign up for either my VIP courses or content, make sure you guys download my free ebook. It's over 38 pages long, full of exciting information. It's going to teach you guys the ins and outs to what my group comes with. So you guys are going to be able to see how I take trades. You guys are going to start to see how I build investments. And you're also going to understand a bunch of terminology that I've packed in there so you guys can understand some of the words that I use. On top of that, there's also a 10-part quiz so you guys can go through, learn all the information, and then quiz yourself at the end so that you guys can retain all of the information learned. So ultimately, guys, make sure you check that out. Links are provided for you in the description for both my VIP course, signals, and my ebook. Download that stuff, check it out. And with all that being said, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.